So I'm delighted to be joined by Cathy Leary from BAM here at possibly one of the most iconic projects in the state at the moment. It's very, very obvious from seeing the shape of the building. People will know that, they'll recognise it immediately, Cathy, when they see it on camera. But even if I close my eyes, the smell of the burning hops from Guinness is just up the road here. Makes me know that we're in Dublin 8, we're in the heart of Dublin here. Possibly the most iconic project in the state, as I said, and really, really positive. It's going to have a massive impact when this project is actually commissioned and handed over. It's a brilliant project because of the scale that you've got to be able to try and make an impact. Health and safety is your space. So maybe give us your perspective on how a project of this scale gives you a chance to try and bring a health and safety culture through to the industry.
Well, as you have already said, we've been here since 2018, so that's a long, long time. I was saying to you, I remember when we were actually digging the excavation for this building, and that's a long time ago. So I've seen it from that space to what we're standing here looking at today. So it was a great opportunity. We have, we had over 3,000 staff here at one stage, but the opportunity to really embed a safety culture, because you have that longevity of the same people coming in, and that the culture, when they come in the door, they understand what the culture is. You set out your stall very early, how you set up your welfare, your accommodation. We have our canteen. So all those things, when somebody comes in, we want them to feel this is a really good project and I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be treated well, and I'm going to contribute. And I think deep down, everyone who works in this project knows how important it is, because you don't have to have children, but you have to know, if you've been a child yourself, or you've been around children, and everyone who works here understands the importance of this. But it's going to be absolutely life-changing for people who have children who have to spend long, prolonged periods in hospital, and it's really going to make a huge, huge difference, and they deserve it. And that's what we want to do, is we want to give them that, and we want to make sure that when they come in here, that they feel that they're looked after and they're treasured. And part of that is along the way, we need to look after and treasure our own people who work here. We don't want anyone to get hurt. We have logos on our vests here, everyone's safe and well every day. That's what we want. We want you to come in, be safe, but also be well, and go home in the same way. So a lot of effort put in here.
Yeah, first time I saw the project was on Monday, when I just came to look at potential locations for today. Immediately what I felt, it's like when I walked into T2, Dublin Airport, and the first thing that you feel is, how did we survive as a nation without this? And you've just described really a couple of different factors in terms of the environment that the care that people are going to get from this as a construction product, what that's going to mean for the country. So the environment then, in terms of a construction project, all those different aspects, one of the really important things is this concept of psychological safety. And what I really want to try and get from you today is this idea of how we develop the next generation. So how we use safety even to create the environment. That means that we're bringing people into the industry and we're supporting them. How's that worked with, what's BAM's approach been to that in the past?
I mean, for us, a safe site is a commercially successful site.
Okay.
Some people don't like to put the two concepts together, but it's a fact of life.
Yeah.
Occupational health and safety is a business process. It's a management. We have a management system. We manage that system in the same way we manage any of our other management systems, so quality, environmental, sustainability. Why should health and safety be any different? So if we manage our health and safety well, there's a good commercial outcome for everybody. Of course, the moral imperative is not to injure anybody, but that's part of it, but it's also about all the other part of occupational health and safety, as we say, is the well-being and the welfare of people, so that coming into a site like this as well, you have a long-term job, you have the security, you're able to get a good wage, you're respected at work, you come home every day and you say, I did a good day's work today. So it's a holistic part of being physically safe, but as you said, also psychologically safe, that you're with a good bunch of people you never get a better laugh than being, as you know, on a building site.
Yeah,
The banter at lunchtime and even between people, and
yeah.
you know, the nicknames and the group. I mean, it's a fantastic industry, and people really look after each other and care for each other, and I think that's very important.
It's connected. It's
we're
authentic, isn't it? I mean, if people,
despite the fact there's so many people, it's like we talk about the family feel. You know, we talk about the family feel, and that's what it is. We want people to feel that they're part of this project, and as I said, we are united by the ultimate goal of this is to provide that, to stand back at the end of this and say, I helped build that, and look at all those children and families that are getting the benefit out of it. You know,
you mentioned the word family. I didn't want to touch on it, but it's an intergenerational issue almost for yourself. You must have seen people. How many years are you in BAM now? I know you didn't want me to mention it, but you must have seen people come in and start.
It's out there anyway, so yeah, 34 years
okay.
I've been, as of the 1st of July this year.
Okay, that tells a tale, but even in terms of, and the reason you talked to me, we were talking before, we were looking at the project, and you've a graph for the company. I mean, you see that they want to look after people. That's the whole purpose of, that's why you're still here.
Absolutely. I mean, we you know, as I said, without repeating myself, but you know, we have a family feel. Sometimes I've spent more time with my colleagues than I've spent with my own family, because you know, you're at work most of the time, most of the day, and you know, we all look after each other and we care about each other and we're friends, and you know, sometimes you fall out with the family sometimes, but you'll always come back together. So that's always good. And I think, as you said, the psychological safety bit is you feel supported. Yeah. You know.
And how have you seen in that kind of time? You must have seen a lot of people come in. And how has your role, even in terms of health, safety, well-being, occupational support, how has that kind of helped you watch and follow and even build support networks for people?
I think the type of people that go into that career, you know, are probably people. Okay. Yes, you have to have qualifications, but I think a lot of the successful candidates who are occupational health and safety advisors is they're well-rounded individuals, and they're trusted members of staff. Okay. So whilst they might be on the BAM team, that anybody who works on this project should feel they're able to approach the occupational health and safety person on the site and be heard and be listened to, and if they've suggestions for improvement, that's taken on board. So it's very much relationship based, and trust is a huge part of this. You know, do I trust you? Are you getting up there and are you spouting health and safety because you think it's what you have to do, or do you genuinely believe what you're saying? And that's something where we're doing these workshops, Safe and Well workshops. And we have two fantastic people delivering them, Mark Medine and Downey O'Shea. Downey was a foreman a long time, old school, and I remember he got up and he said, if I had known this stuff when I was a foreman, I'd have been a better foreman.
That's good to hear.
And so when they're delivering those workshops to the people who are working on our projects, they can genuinely feel that, you know, this is not paying lip service. This is a genuine thing that we're trying to do to help people to look after each other.
And why don't I say that? Is it because of breaking the stigma or having real conversations?
Yeah, probably, as you said, you know, the old days it was very male orientated. We've much more diversity, inclusiveness, you know, not just females, but people from different cultures, people from different religions, people from different backgrounds. You know, we're reflecting the Ireland of today. Yeah. You know, probably technically they would always said men don't really talk about these things. You know, now people, you know, men are talking very openly about these sorts of things. You know, it was very interesting. We have a welfare standard, and part of the welfare standard, there was feedback from the workforce that we didn't provide sanitary bins in the men's toilets.
Okay.
And people would laugh and say, why would you want that? And the answer was, because people who are dealing with cancer have dressings and they need a sanitary bin to put the dressings in when they have to change the dressings during the day. We now have sanitary bins in our men's toilets. Yeah. And if you ever want to, you know, answer a question as to do you genuinely care about people?
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah. Everyone laughed, but that's the answer. Yeah. And it's a genuine thing that people, you know, are dealing with.
Yeah.
I can't imagine coming into work every day and having to go into a toilet and try and change your dressing or something. So it's all about that part of it where, you know, we're listening to people.
It's the signal it gives people as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That you're actually listening, that you're not, it's not just lip service, and that's really important. The World Skills is going to be 17th and 19th of September, and we've almost 33,000 kids going through the RDS. Trying to attract that talent in is a big job for the industry as well. That's the challenge. We keep getting pressed with, well, what's the industry doing? So, I mean, I think that health and safety offers a really fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a gateway in, and it's a much broader kind of. But you didn't start as health and safety.
No, I did civil engineering.
Okay.
And I worked as a civil engineer, and I ended up in a certain wafer production facility in Leixlip at one stage, because they needed somebody to manage health and safety, and I kind of went, well, I'll give it a go, you know. Yeah. And did my degree, my diploma, MPRII, etc. Got qualified. But for me, what it was about, as I said to you, it's a business process, and I could see the added value of, if you are successful at managing health and safety, you're adding to the commercial profitability of the company. Yeah. Because it's a no-brainer. Like, why would you not do that? You know, so you want to. There's nothing wrong with saying you want to make money. You know, that's what every company has to make a profit to survive, because they're supporting us all. So part of that is health and safety. Excellent health and safety helps with the bottom line. You
create the environment, people feel respected.
Yeah, and for me, I could see a huge opportunity with things. At the time, I was young, but I was full of ideas, and we were talking earlier about the safety reps, and we set up the safety rep training course, and you know, I was one of these ones that was always, I was on to the next idea,
See a gap.
But it was just, you know, what could we do? And as we've been saying about the collaboration between the CIF Safety Subcommittee, the Health and Safety Authority. I mean, I'm the envy of my colleagues in the UK who said, you sit down with the regulator and you have conversations and you help each other, and that's what we do. Yeah. So it's all of us together, and you know, none of us ever fall out about something as competitors in the market. Sure. Because health and safety affects all of us, and you know, anyone else's success, any of our competitors' success, they have no problem letting you know, if they succeed in something, they'll share it with everybody else, because they want everybody to succeed. And I know you made a great point in the past as well, that a project of this scale, 3,000 people, you're bringing a sub-supply chain that other contractors acting as PSCS have previously indoctrinated into their systems. So it's all boats. It's the best analogy for all boats rising together. But again, as usual, I've gone off the topic, which is the question you did ask me, which was about the students coming in. And you know, there's an expression: if you see it, you can be it. Yeah. So those people under the age of 20 probably, you know, I mean, I didn't have construction in my background. My father nearly passed out when I said I was going to be an engineer, because he does not compute. Nobody in our family did it. Okay. But if they see, you know, like, and I've seen it myself, we go to these fairs and you talk to I can't use the word kids because they're young adults, but you know, you're talking to them and you're explaining what you do. But you know, it's so diverse, and as I said to you, you know, look, you get to work on projects like this, you get to learn, you get to make great people, you get to have great fun. You know, when you go into work, you're learning on the job, and we need to make sure that people understand what is the job about, and the best people to explain. So doing these sorts of interviews or having social media posts where they can see somebody who's doing the job and go, oh, I'll have a bit of that. That sounds good. That looks good. I think I'll give that a go. Yeah, we're not on Stephen's screen today, but you don't have a sandwich in your back pocket because these seagulls are just getting a wee bit, they're getting a bit active. Just to that point, so how do you think the new generation, the young people that have come into BAM, have you seen like them bring a different angle? Even their approach to Gen Zs, as we say. Like, so we've a very interesting program going on at the moment where we've recruited 10 trainees. Okay. So we have taken people in who've shown an interest, and they have no formal qualifications in health and safety, but they want to get into the construction industry, and they want to you know. We've obviously managed to sell it as being attractive to them. Yeah. So, you know, they've joined us now. I see our graduates, I mean, they blow me away. They're so enthusiastic. They're full of ideas. You know, my child has been raised in a growth mindset, so we were all told to sit down there and be quiet. You know, the generation of today are ask questions, and that's fantastic, because all the people that are in here want to pass on their knowledge. So having that formal trainee program where, you know, we've spoken about mentorship, so you're looked after, you train on the job, and you know what, it's very well paid. When you start going up through the ranks, you know, it is a career now.
Even at the beginning, it's very.
We used to be safety officers.
Yes.
Right, which is an awful term.
Okay.
Which was policing people.
Sure.
And now safety advisors are absolutely, it's a career in itself. You can progress through the ranks. You can become chartered members of IOSH the same way you become a chartered member of Engineers Ireland.
It's
you
brilliant.
get your stripes. You have respect.
You're on a par.
And so it is a career path now that is attractive. To people, and it's great, and welcome these. I'm dying to see what these guys are going to do. Yeah, well, and I was going to ask you the question about technology, but one other thing that springs to mind, a lot because of where you are, a lot of this project you must have used MMC, offsite prefabrication. So even those younger people maybe coming in, they don't see it as a challenge; they just see it as these are elements. We have a group of fantastic people called DPS, our DPS department, and digital procurement. So we, many years ago, were working in collaboration with them, because I always talk about the fact I'd love to drive a Porsche, but I'm not really interested in how it puts together. So if somebody starts boring on about, you know, well, it's got this, I don't care, just want to be in the Porsche. So I used to say, I want a system that does this, but like, don't have to tell me how it gets put together. Could you just do that now? You know. So they, we started working with them. So we tried to go fully digital in occupational health and safety. So we use ACC, we use SharePoint. We're trying to get rid of paper. It's that whole work smarter, not harder. Better use of resources. We're using AI to predict. I mean, you know, with the Power BI now, you can, for example, if in here, I mean, look the size of the place, for goodness sake, you know, and you're doing anything in there. If you're doing a safety inspection, for example, and so all these different people are doing safety inspections, that all goes into a data set, and the AI is able to predict, oh, look, there's loads and loads of observations about the basement in room number 23.
Brilliant.
There's a problem down in room 23 because there's 10 housekeeping issues raised against it or whatever.
Brilliant.
So that sort of technology, and also as well, as you said, because they're just so au fait with using technology, is that they would faint if you gave them a notebook and pen and said, here you go, off you go now, do something. They're all out on their iPads using ACC, BIM, you know, we've digital models, we have the digital twin in here. I mean, this is the amount of technology. I'm no expert by any manner of means, but you know, all the digital technology that we've used to build this has really helped in terms of the efficiency, the quality, you know, from the beginning of the concept, it was built virtually. So we were trying to eliminate any of those issues, you know. It must have brought huge efficiencies, but also then delivered. It's a much safer operation if everything's so well scheduled out in advance. You're talking there about two of the big initiatives that technology applied in a safety context. We've a lot of providers now in that space, and that's something that we'll constantly be looking at to see what's the next best thing. But your description of the traineeship that BAM have developed here on the National Children's Hospital is really what my aspiration is for an apprenticeship in the health and safety field. So you've basically gone ahead and done that in advance of a full apprenticeship system being in place. Are there other stories of people that maybe, you know, because you have a big social clause here as well, so social impact was something that was big for the project? So you people maybe in the local vicinity in the area that might have expressed an interest in working on the job? Yeah, well, as I said, we've had at least 30 apprentices through here in different guises, you know. Not necessarily in health and safety, but you know, again, it's all part of. Look, everybody's job includes health and safety. So whilst we're talking about health and safety as a job function, it's a part of anyone who works in the construction industry. It's part of their job function. So they need to know what's going on. You know, how do you build something safely, as you said, precast or something like that, you know. So all of that feeds into, so everyone who works in a construction project has an expertise in health and safety and needs to include doing something in a safe way as part of their job, you know. So that's an educational piece as well for all of us. So,
yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, and if you looked at the industry in 5 years and said there's one thing I'd love to see as a change, what would be the one big, just a step change, you know, in terms of, with fantastic collaboration going on, everybody seems to be sharing, there's like an open kind of, an open book kind of policy in terms of health and safety culture across the industry. What's one thing Kathy Leary would love to see in 5 years' time in the sector?
I'd like the people who work in this industry to be looked on with the respect that they deserve. I think sometimes some people think that we're these people that get on the Lewis and the bus with the, you know, you see everybody with the paint on their pants and the dirty jacket maybe a little bit because they're doing something, whatever. But those people are coming in here and building this building, you know. And the professional people.
Yes.
And we should be recognised as such. And I think sometimes we're a bit hard on ourselves. We're always going on about what's the negative stuff that comes up in the press about different projects or whatever, you know. Look, we are an industry, and we should be very proud of what we do, and we should be respected for what we do. And I hope that, you know, the perception of the public is that they look at people in construction and say, you know, and they look at us and say, yeah, I would like my son or daughter to be in that industry, because it's a great industry, and look at what they do and how they contribute to society, contribute to the wealth of Ireland. You know, if we don't build these things, we can't operate businesses or something. So I'd like to see, that's for me anyway, I think sometimes there's a bit of a negative perception around us, and I'd like us to be seen in a really positive way.
It's a really good point, and I think the first thing that springs to mind for me is it's because maybe we have to put the barrier up. We have to exclude people from a live, high-risk environment, you know, so maybe that's where, for all intents and purposes, they don't see the product until everybody in the high-vis is gone. You know, so maybe that's one thing that's...
Well, a lot of, I know, everybody any of these projects that we're building, we always invite in the community, and especially the children, school children, is a big one, because they get all excited. We have this thing called Spot the Dog, which is a robotic dog, and it's the star of the show. It's travelled all over the UK and Ireland, but you bring that into a school, or you bring that into a project and show it to 8-year-olds, they lose their mind, because it actually kind of, it is really a bit creepy, but...
Is it robotic? Is it
Google it and look up Spot the Dog, but but it actually is freaky how it operates. But they get to go on it and whatever, you know. So you know, it's things like that is where you know, we've got to invite the people in and explain, I suppose. So we had full-time community liaison person here, which with regular meetings, and we were explaining what was going on.
Brilliant.
You know, so I think...
well, if you're not immersing them in the experience and they don't understand and they've no connectivity, those normal conversations are what help. And I would say that there are thousands of kids in the local vicinity that have already been inspired. You know, it's been 6 years, like they're already in construction trades, that are in doing degrees, they're doing diplomas, because of the fact that a project of this scale was on their doorstep.
And last year we had Inez, who worked here, did a fantastic banner. It was over the side of the building here, and it was for International Women's Day. And it was photographs of all the 180 women that worked on the project, just all their different photographs.
That's amazing.
And down the side of the building, and I used to drive past that and say, that is deadly. Any young girl looking at that is looking at that poster and saying, all those women work in there. Gosh, I could work in there. Maybe I could get a job in there. I wonder what they do. Because, you know, what 9-year-old girl knows what a QS is, or a...
Exactly.
You know,
it immediately lets you think they can't all be doing the same thing. You know, so it's the best example.
All sorts of women. I'm just picking on women, sorry, but, you know.
No, that's a really...
it is something I'm passionate about, because as a woman in the construction industry, I've had a great career. I've met the best of people. I've never had any issue, trouble. I've just always been a member of the team. It doesn't matter. My gender has nothing to do with it. And that's what these women are doing here. They're just coming in and doing their jobs. I would say, on the contrary, I think that we tend to find a lot more women in health and safety, and I think it probably is because of the fact that it lends itself to, it's the other side of the brain. And it's a different approach to a certain extent. And both work, you know, effectively really, really well, but I think it's obviously an environment that a lot of women are doing really, really well in, because
of the approach that you've got to take.
Yeah.
You know.
But I go back as well to, and I think a lot of that is that the visibility of women in the, you know, in health and safety. So 2 members of my team, they were working in admin, and they could see myself and Anne-Marie McLaughlin, who's now down in Dublin Port, and they'd say, like, how do you get to do your job?
Yeah.
And we sent them off to college. Look at them now; they're absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
They're 2 fantastic people who just
But
live and breathe.
Yeah, yeah, and the traineeship is a brilliant way of bringing people in that pathway. But the fact that they were able to see your environment on a daily basis as well, it meant there was no big surprises.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of learning on the job because you know not everybody can get 750 points they're leaving, you know. So what do you do if you've an interest or your brain works a different way?
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, we talk about neurodiversity, and that's a huge part of. I think a lot of people were excluded maybe from the construction industry because they are neurodiverse and they just learn in a different way or operate in a different way. So again, when you see the scale of this, the amount of people who are in here and all those different people and the neurodiverse ways they think, but that's the success of it coming together, because you're not all having a lot of nodding dogs sitting at a table going, oh yeah, we'll all do that. You've got the one that says, but hold on, why don't we do it this way? Why, you know, so that's a huge part of it, and it's great to see, you know.
Yeah, those challenging voices, they can be the most important at the table.
Yeah.
And I think you've touched on something there as well that actually gives me a bit of food for thought in terms of how we go about growing the population of construction personnel as well, because we need to be reaching people that have just gone into manufacturing or working on a factory floor that would have loved to, or maybe they don't even know yet that they would love to work in construction. But the pathway wasn't there for them. Yeah,
you know. But that's what I was saying to you. You know, we need to probably explain ourselves more to members of the public, because the perception is maybe it's a dirty, filthy trade, and we're all, you know, working all the hours God sends and whatever. Yeah. You know, look, we've all these different flexible working going on now. We've flexible working. We have, you know, as you said, people who wouldn't normally have considered a career can now go into it. Yeah. Family-friendly policies, all that sort of stuff. You know, so it's changed massively, and I can see a big change again, because maybe in 5 years' time, you asked me the question in 5 years' time, maybe we'll all be doing a 3-day week because we're so efficient. That's all we need to do. And we just don't know.
Yeah. I know.
You know,
the robots are telling us that the precast has landed. Yeah. No, it's a good point. I think it was a really useful conversation. I think we touched on a lot of points. What's really, really obvious to me is a project of this scale, with the timeline that you get to do a project of this scale, that is going to completely transform the way we deliver care for the state, has been a fantastic platform for BAM to develop you know, their whole ecosystem of people internally, and also bring their whole supply chain along as well. And it's a really great example of how we can use health and safety as a positive means to bring in that next generation into your industry.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much, Kathy, for the conversation today.
It's been a pleasure, and it's welcome to the hospital, and I hope people can see this and see the amazing amount of effort that's gone into this, and love. A lot of love went into it.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you.